Hang on, I'm getting there. And that camera might fall because, as you can see, it's a mighty tricky getting out of here. But, hi. Yes, you see the horses. It is March 18th, 2026. It is about 11:30 a.m. in my current locale. What you're seeing right now is me leaving, okay? I have to go to town, and I have to get provisions. I haven't spoken to you in a while, and yesterday, because it was March 17th and St. Patrick's Day, you know, that really sends me downhill because of Kerry. So let's see. Other than a whole lot is happening in your society, which is just absolute trash. Hi, goats. Okay. What has happened? Well, I was in Florida, and on March 5th, I left. Bodie's right here next to me. Okay, and on Florida, I left, and I left McAlpin to my new responsibility, which is here. Okay. What you're looking at is Southwest New Mexico. Okay. Took me about 4 days to get here. I got here on the 10th. And once I got here on the 10th, everything was good. Thank you, Becky. Oh my, hang on. This is a little steeper than I thought it was. Hold on. I don't remember coming in this way, but I may have. We did it on the 10th. So what happened was I came in on the 10th, and everything was good and groovy, right? This is Airstrip Road. I still don't remember coming in this way, but I probably did. So again, I got here on the 9th. I spoke to my boss, and it was all good and groovy. And they started me on technically the 11th. I think that's right. I just kind of took a couple of days for training information, and I physically started on the 15th. But where am I? That's a good question. I'm nowhere. Depending on who you speak to, I'm either in Mimbres, Magdalena, or Gila Hot Springs, New Mexico. We're going to go nice and slow. You see that, right? You know what to do. There it is. So, what am I doing? Great question. I'm technically the only other employee of a store called Doc Campbell's. Okay. It is here. It's about 3 miles from Gila Hot Springs, and it's right off of the National Park Service, which has Gila Hot Springs National Park. Okay, and it's pretty much what I did in Flamingo. It's a general store. So, you know, it's me. The only other employee is my boss. And this place is a huge amount of living history. Okay. This entire place was started like 1918 by a guy named Doc Campbell. Doc Campbell being, I think his name was Dawson Campbell. So you can kind of look that up. Right, so he comes out here from Pennsylvania, sounds familiar, and he's got, he decides, he's got sinus problems. The air is very good for him here, and he is doing pretty well. So he ends, like anybody else, he finds a girl. We're in the National Forest, by the way. He finds a girl, gets married, okay, has 4 kids. Becky, you just heard me say hi, Becky. That's his daughter. Angus, his son, and 2 other children I haven't met. Okay. But they all live in adjacent properties from where he started the entire store. Which I think is nice. It's nice to do that. And my boss is his granddaughter. So again, this is living history. I get to talk to everybody, and I'm asking all sorts of questions. So it's fun. supposed to be here until, they say, June. Might be longer, might be lesser, we don't know. And that's what's going on. And so you're watching me drive real slow. This is the Gila River. Right? If you're into it, you're into it. It's going to take me about an hour to get to town, which sounds awful familiar, right? I've got to go the long way around. When I came in, I took the long way around, which was, it took me 2.5 hours because it was up hills like this, down hills like that, switchbacks, not very RV friendly. I didn't read my email because I don't check my email while I'm traveling, and I should have because she told me not to do that. Oh my, this is quite a grade. We're losing stuff. It's okay, Bodie. Okay, we got a cattle guard. And as soon as we get to a level spot, I'm going to have to push the pause button because I think I spilled something. I want to double check. So there'll be a pause in the game, and then we can go on. You know, if I did spill something, I want to clean that up real darn quick. By the way, yes, you are looking at a very steep grade and a switchback. They said going to town can be tough. I can certainly understand the why on that because I came in kind of this way. I don't have to put it in a lower gear yet. We just have to be patient. Let's see, what else can I say while I'm concentrating on getting up to the top of the hill? The height I'm at is 5,800 feet. So no, I do not have a persistent cough like I did when I was in the other side of New Mexico, because that was altitude sickness. But yes, I do have, my knees hurt. The barometric pressure sure as heck has done a number on me. So let's see, we are still going uphill. Let's see, work. Work is pretty much what it was in Flamingo, save I'm not the manager, okay? A lot of stocking. Right now we're checking expiration dates on things. The hiking season is coming up. And as a result of the hiking season coming up, my boss, her name is Christy, she's handling all the ordering and she's getting stuff. So she's doing my old job. She's ordering stuff, she's laying it out, she's putting in the inventory system. I'm the guy that's grabbing the price gun, right? And pricing stuff or putting the stickers on stuff. And then my next step after that is to put it out on the shelves and do everything else. Plus greet the guests. I don't have to make coffee until the weekends, right? Hey, look, a car. I don't make coffee until the weekends. They use like a Keurig thing. They do make home-baked cookies, so I do have to do that, and they will start doing like heat meat pizza, things like that. Very similar to what I did before. Again, just, I seem to have that retail management bug that got bitten, so we're going to just keep dealing with the retail management bug until we can. Let's see, what do we got? Do we have a big switchback? No, not really. I remember coming in this way last week and having to put it into a lower gear so that it didn't completely toast my brakes. So you kind of want to be here to be here, if that makes any sense. Bodie's adapting well. We haven't seen a lot of snakes or lizards or things. I've seen a couple of lizards. Nothing nutty crazy, right? But as you can see, just from the pitch of where I'm driving, and you can hear the engine, getting out of here. Well, getting in here is tough, but getting out of here can be a little challenging. What I'm doing is I'm looking for a road called 35. They say I'll see it. It'll be on the left-hand side. Okay, and I'll be able to gently try to work my way back down the hill to get to town. So, good on us. I wish I could turn the camera. I can't. I can't take both hands off the wheel on this one. But I think you're getting an idea of the scope of all of this. Going up and down, pits and valleys. You know, there is some water. You saw the Gila River. Oh. Can I get over? Oh my, I think I can. Wow. All right, hang on. All right, I'm gonna let you look at this beautiful, beautiful thing and go see what's spilled. So, talk amongst yourselves. I'll be right back. Oh, wow, man. Good part is what's spilled is pretty much captured. Great. That's a good thing. Fortunately, it looks like it was vinegar. That's also okay. Very fortunately, something else that fell from the upper area was paper towels. Make sure it didn't get in the battery compartment. I'm going to say it probably didn't. It didn't. Good on you. All right. Well, all right. Let's see what else I can do. How much out of trouble can we get in, buddy? I'm coming. All right. Well, I reconfigured some stuff at the top. Okay. Apparently, not very well. So off we go. Who knows what else will spill today? Okay. Hang on. There we go. So let's see. Getting here, I popped a tire. That was over in Louisiana. Fortunately, it was an outer dually. I ran over a nail. No big. You know, I went to a Love's. They couldn't fix it. It was a Speedco. They couldn't work on something this size, they said. So what they did was we called out for Good Sam. They gave me an outer bay to hang out in. 2 hours later, it was like it never happens, and we were back on the road. Let's see. Silver City is 35 miles away. That is where we're headed. But as you can see, you can only go about 20, 25 up here. So a 35-minute trip is an hour, hour and a half. You know, it's something you have to take a consideration on. Do I like it here? Yeah, it's kind of nice. It's quiet like the Everglades. Not a whole lot of people. Like I said, there's always people around, but they're not around. The store is down the hill. So when I say down the hill, it takes me 5 minutes to walk to it. Okay, so can't ever be late for work. Plus, work does have, it has showers. So if I want to take a real shower, I can. And work has laundry. Doesn't cost me a thing. So I get all those amenities: water, power, sewer, the whole gamish. Very, very happy and excited to do that. You know, I'm not even sweating anything really yet. Nights get down 38, 40 degrees. And when they pop up, they come up pretty quick. So right now it's about 70. You know, it warms up fast. You know, I mean, you can't classify this place as a desert. Okay. You can, it's called an arroyo, but again, because, you know, all the rocks beneath us hold a lot of heat, and that's why it warms up real quick. Hey, yo, slow down. The other thing is because it's a hot spring, you know, there's water in the ground. But the water that comes out, even the cold water, is lukewarm. The hot springs are about 3 miles from where we left. And that's all okay. I don't mind lukewarm, cold water. Makes taking a shower easier on the water heater. Mineral content is different because you can see red means iron. Okay. Not a lot of fluoride. Okay. No copper. I can't seem to find copper. It must be here. However, I was told by the guy at the Park Service that the precious metals, the gold, the silver, copper, tin, aluminum, semi-precious, they're on the outside, not in here. They're outside. And I kind of said, all right, I get that. So, you know, I mean, I've talked to people at the Park Service. They're kind of nice. You know, they were in the store the other day. One of the guys had his day off, and he was hanging around. He had nothing to do, so he was helping us check expiration dates, put labels on stuff. He was just hanging around because the community here is very, very, very small. Okay, and so everybody knows everybody. Again, a lot of people here are related. You know, the four brothers and sisters. You know, obviously Doc is no longer with us. The granddaughter and the great-granddaughter, who they have a house in a town called Deming. They don't go home every day. They have another site on property. But the granddaughter, she lives in Deming, and she does remote school there. She helps out in the store when there's a break. And I was like, well, that's kind of cool. Everybody works. It's cool. And let's see. Bodie's fine. And what else have we got going on as I keep going uphill? You're just watching me drive up hills. Everything's uphill. Like I said, coming down is going to be third gear. You know, just take my time, not worry too much. So let's see. Stuff going on. Seems like they want to really bomb people. Okay. I saw that. And let's see, I saw in the space that we've been gone, fly right over, grab somebody out of the country, get him out of here. Nobody dies. Alright. You know, I see that happening. Then I see bomb another country. I was like, oh, hold on a second. We're getting a little shooty here, man. You know? So, you know, saving the politics for another day? The answer is, you know, our United States military is pretty active right now. I'm not sure what they're doing, besides decide to run in cover for people, but they're pretty active. And I went, okay, well, what are you going to do? Nothing I can do here. I see a lot of, whoa, that's a bit of a turn. I see a lot of people who don't, I might have to shift to third. People who don't hold American values, who hold some other ideology, they seem to be really setting up camp, and they seem to be really trying to move in. Heck, man. I remember, I think I've told you the story before, on September 11th, standing on the helipad of the hospital, watching, my students volunteer, doctors I knew get set up, all of them just getting on helicopters without knowing what the heck is going on, and watching them fly away and watching them flanked by F-14s. And I remember somebody's behind me. I remember the vigil we had for all the victims of September 11th. And I remember everybody standing, holding hands, going, "We will never forget." And 25 years later, they elect a guy with the same ideology and an even worse one on top of it to the mayor of New York City, where it all happened. This does not seem smart. This is almost like a robber knocking on your door and you let them in and go help yourself. It's not very big, man. I'm not big on the pathological altruism. I'm not big on the suicidal empathy. And I know who's driving it. And unfortunately, Kerry may be afflicted. So that to me is not a great thing to do. Okay. Oh, we're 7,000 feet in the air now. Okay, it's just not right. And I don't like it. Not much I can do about it besides just, the old hermit does not tolerate nonsense around him. If you're a collectivist, if you hold an ideology that is not in accord with the American doctrine, we're supposed to be American, I don't put up with that very well. I kind of tell you to get away from me. Now, let's see, what else? Oh, we're going downhill. Look, what else have we got? A lot of fraud. I've noticed that. A lot of fraud. Mainly from people that got deposited here like trash, but not always. And apparently there are people inside our own systems that are enabling this. I mean, because you can't get this many daycare centers, and you can't get this many hospice cares all in the same place with nobody in them, all collecting money, and these people don't even speak, read, or write English, so somebody has to be filling out the paperwork for them. So yeah, we've got a lot of garbage wandering around who, second, third, fourth world countries, ripping people off is kind of their bread and butter. That's their survival mechanism. They have to steal from each other, otherwise they'll be stolen from. It's called the low trust society. Hi, buddy. Whoa, look at this. 25 mile an hour, I see a switchback, and I see, look at that, a high grade, so we may have to shift into a gear. Okay, so this is no fun with this stuff, but I think the real enemies, we've got two sets of enemies. We're fighting a two-front war on fraud. One is, who brought this trash in? Who brought this garbage in? Nobody pumps sewage into their own home. It's stupid. And the second one is, who is enabling the sewage? Who is filling out the forms? Who is doing the paperwork? And what's their cut? Remember, I'm from Pennsylvania, New Jersey. The answer is everybody gets paid. Everybody gets a cut, man. It happens. You get used to it. So that's pretty bad. Oh, look, there's a nice place to pull up. Dip running water. Sounds like an Indian name. Let's see, what else did I see? I've learned that, I've relearned the lesson that trying to advise people and just alert is probably a good thing. it also gets you nowhere. You know, the lesson I relearned is nobody damn fool listens. Nobody. Especially lower cultures. They don't damn fool listen. They nod, smile, and drool, and then they go off and they do their own thing, and then they blame everybody else when they get in trouble. Wait, that sounds like feminism. Never mind. When I was in Florida, right, I had a grocery delivery. Yay me. And, you know, the car stops in front of the RV. Hey, they get out to unload it. I'm maybe 20 feet away from the car. They open it up. Two very, 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 very dark-skinned people get out of the car to take the groceries out. And I'm 20 feet away from their car, and guess what? It smells like the island of Jamaica. So first of all, I know I'm leaving the groceries outside for a couple minutes. Let's get rid of that scent. Thanks, but no. And the second thing I did was I told them, I said, hey, I don't mean to get all personal with you now. You know that you can't do that in your car in the state of Florida. And the cultural enrichment of the day I got was somebody who took the marbles out of the mouth and said, he has a card. I went, that's nice. Legalizing chemical abuse is fine. It's none of my business. You can't do that in your car. You can't even do it in your car in your own driveway. Right? You can't. You will get knocked. So I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just alerting you to the fact of the matter. Do whatever you want. Okay. And they put the marbles back in their mouth and stumbled back to the car. So I let the groceries sit out for a little bit to get the scent out of it. And I said, you know what? I'm going to take the garbage out, which is at the top of where I was, where the road is. So what I did was I took the garbage out, and I can see the road. The road is flat like a pancake. You know, so you walk up a little hill, and you put the garbage in there. And I'm looking around, and I see lights. And I go, okay, so there's lights. Big deal. I'm not in any trouble. Who cares? So I can see down the road. Nope, cattle yard. So I can see down that road. All right. And what do I see? Our two culturally enriched friends out of the car, hands on the trunk, and a Suwannee County sheriff is running through their car. I never spoke to anybody. I just told Bodie, stay here. I'm leaving the groceries out to get rid of the scent and then take out the garbage. Well, our culturally enriched friends, as I'm standing there, I'm watching them get cuffed and get put into the back of the car. And I went, I don't know whether this is stupid pet tricks or plays dumb games, win dumb prizes. The language being used now in 2026 is consequences. I'm not sure there will be any consequences based on their genetic makeup. However, it jammed up their day, and they knew not to do it. So maybe that's the only consequence. Not much I can tell you on that. It's an oh well moment. Oh well. Here, nobody seems to have done anything foolish yet. You know, everybody seems pretty chill. And I think that's because they're hikers for the most part. You know, I see people who are hiking, biking, you know, they're pretty chill. You know, and the community of people that do this hiking and biking and everything, they're a particular different set. different makeup of people in all sorts of ways. So I kind of like it. You're seeing a lot of cars today. You know, my boss told me Wednesday's a pretty slow day. It's the day that the stores usually close. So they're got to be coming out of somewhere. I don't know what my mileage is, so I don't know where this Route 35 is. If you see it, you know, you can yell at the camera. It was right there, you idiot. All right. Let's see, what else have I seen when I put my periscope up? Again, a lot of people with a lot of bad ideologies. I was watching a lady named Rachel Wilson. She's the wife of Andrew Wilson. God, she's smart. Her husband's really bright. She's smart too. She was talking about how the communists basically invented feminism and shoved it on women to divide the family. And then I was like, it's nice to say stuff. You got any receipts on that? And not only was she able to do chapter and verse, she wrote a whole book on it, which I did buy digitally. 19 pages in the back are all footnotes. Yeah, she's pretty smart. I'm going to give that woman that. She made some really good points. She confirmed some things I knew and taught me some things I didn't. So as far as I can be concerned, it was a good book. And I suggest that you, if you want to learn more about the people that hate you, pick up a copy of Rachel Wilson's book. Let's see. Oh, we got a switchback? Let's see. I have not read any other books yet. I've got one or two lined up. A lot of them seem to deal with, all the books I've got lined up right now seem to deal with these ideologies that absolutely hate us and want to bring us down to their level. And I don't like that, I understand that it's harder to build than destroy. It's definitely worth it. Even though it can be taken away from you, it's okay, I can build it again. Don't just give it away. That's the pathological altruism thing I was talking about. Don't just give that crap away. Oh, no. You fight for it. You built it, it's yours. But a lot of this other stuff going on is just silly sauce. And I just don't understand it. And it's going to end up being a real problem. I don't want to see this country, whether I'm a people person or not, turn into the conquered countries like England or Australia or Germany or France or Norway. I don't want us to be that way. I'm still much happier with the concept of America, with George Washington taking a boat across the Delaware River on Christmas Eve, and it's icy and it's below freezing, to sail to Trenton to get to the British barracks and slaughter them in their sleep. That seems like a way to fight a war. Oh, isn't that pretty? Not capitulation, not appeasement. No. Tried that during my first divorce. Won some, lost some. My second divorce, there was no appeasement. I went full on Genghis Khan and I won. I won that round. Mercy is not something we should be given. Because if I needed mercy, I would be told die. So why should I show up for anybody else? Alright, so now we're on a lower, we're going on a lower area. You notice we're heading downhill. The result of downhill is the trees are bigger. Alright. I'm still looking for this Route 35. So I am told, I have a map, I am told it will be on the left. The map is a very simple map. It doesn't have mile markers or trailhead numbers. There's a couple trailhead numbers. But that's it. What else did I see? People shooting at each other. Here's one I don't understand. people from the ideology that hate us that should never have been here. I mean, the Barbary pirates were the same ideology. How did they get on Fort Hood and steal $4 million drones? Probably the same way the people from this crappy ideology were deposited here, and somebody's filling out the paperwork for fraud. It's an inside job, man. And, you know, the nicest part about being a hermit is you don't have to worry about figuring out who your enemies are. It's everybody. It's a target-rich environment, and you don't have to worry about it much. Ugh. Hang on. Everybody look at the pretty rocks. Alright, now we're going to a nice, even place. Okay. Hit the brakes. Let's not go down too fast. Let's be very cool about it, right? Plus, there's a cattle guard. We gotta slow down anyway. So, not quite sure. This is gonna hurt. Yeah. Not quite sure, you know, what to do about some of this stuff. It just doesn't seem right. You know, people that are screaming death to America, telling us what kind of rules we have, what kind of food eat. What are you, out of your mind? Again, I embrace the whole concept of America as Davy Crockett, George Washington, Paul Revere. You know, people who were told, you're going to do it this way, and they go, no, we're not. You know, and they kicked out the invaders, and eventually that's what's going to happen. You know, any culture, every great empire dies. Oh, here we go. It's from the same reasons. Okay, and I've read Rise and Fall of the Roman Empire. Okay. Letting people in your country that aren't your people, that weren't natively born there, they swamp the system, and what they do is they start to change the rules of the system to benefit themselves and not the people born under that system. Another thing that happens is diversity. Instead of simply throwing out the loudmouth, everybody has something to say. Well, there's a song called Lift Every Voice. When you lift every voice, you realize so many people have so little to say. Okay? Giving an air and an ear to those who neither like you or who have been so soft that they are demanding things for others, bad idea. Another one is the rot from the inside. Okay? The rot from the inside is the systems themselves are so corrupted that they chew into everything else to enrich themselves and to damage others. That's usually how the merchant or middle class disappears. Okay? Not great, not great. Up here comes 35. We're going to win today. Okay, there, see junction 35? Woo! There's log cabin, 17 miles. Now, it's the first time doing this. They promised me it was going to be paved. And it is. Everybody, look at that teardrop. Here we go. So, okay, and the fourth thing that causes rot is where we're Silver City. Members is 22, so all right. The fourth thing that happens is when cultural norms and behaviors are allowed to be eroded by perversion. You know, in other words, this is the way that things are, and this is the way that we live here. No, it's not. And they start blending things. They start playing with language. They start misidentifying gender. They start allowing in all sorts of perverts. And they start saying, but we have to be tolerant. We have to be accepting. No, you don't. Rome fell this way. Athens fell this way. Constantinople fell this way. The only ones that never really died like that are anything Far East. Japan and China. Thailand, Singapore. Those were basically wars. However, until I think it was Mao in China, everybody had the same beliefs. Everybody kind of held to the same cultural stuff. The problem that came from all of that, was their wars were more wars of conquer, okay? Resource wars, that type of thing. They were still holding the same culture. They still held the same beliefs, religious and otherwise. For the most part, the thing that caused all the damage really was when other ideologies were let in. And when those ideologies get let in, boy, oh boy, are they corrosive. They're battery acid. Because ultimately, they're anti-life. And unfortunately, by my estimation, the late, great state of America is falling right in line with all of that. Now, I could be wrong, as I'm just spitballing here. I could be wrong. You know, Americans could stand up en masse, kick out all this crap ideology and this garbage people that are here, throw them right into the sea, and enact changes in such a way as to make sure that they don't get back in. But I'm telling you, you know, every single, whoa, look at that hill, right? Every single time that a culture, a good culture, and I'm using a judgment caller, a good culture eliminates a negative culture and does not eliminate that negative culture to every man, woman, and child, Genghis Khan style, some unhappy, foolish soul is going to find the books and the edicts of what was taken away because it was bad and go, we got to give this another shot. And it never works. And unfortunately, too many of these ideologies all started in places like the Middle East. And then there's just dimensions on a theme. One ideology begins in the Middle East, and 6,000 years of it keeps going, and then some guy in Russia picks up those stones, adds them into his stuff to do, and goes, yeah, we can use that and it is to the detriment of everyone that touches it. Not good. So for me, it's a little part of it is depressing, because I'm going on real long with this video. Part of this is real depressing. The other part of it, I've got to tell you, is that it's not depressing. It is just evolution. Evolution of a species, evolution of a culture. You know, the only way that this is going to stop is when we make it stop. We have to get off the wheel, you know. Maybe something about, if your life is too easy, you start worrying about your gender and your pronouns. Because you never had to go hungry a day in your life. You never had to work a day in your life. You never had, right? Maybe if life was made less easy, there would be less time to navel gaze and think about stupid stuff. Then again, I've been proven wrong before. For those of you who know, I'm a history buff. Okay. Trying to think of, oh yeah, Jamestown. The first Jamestown settlement in Virginia. By the way, Virginia is a mess right now. I'm I'm not even going to get into that. The first Jamestown settlement, they created a thing called a community granary. Okay? So the object was that all the farmers would grow the grain and bring it to the community granary, and all of the citizens would take what they needed because they had put all of their growth, everything they grew, they put in the granary. And then they would take what they needed. So by always depositing more than what you took, it would never run out. Okay, so the whole concept of, oh, look, cabins. And Lake Roberts General Store. Okay, so the whole concept of the community will take care of everything and you will be provided for is a little dumb. How dumb was it? Well, when the English came back in a year and a half or so, the granary was empty. We gotta go uphill. The granary was empty, and the citizens were eating their own shoelaces. Because when they said, oh, you'll get whatever you need, and we'll grow whatever and if you'll take what you need, and you'll give everything to it, some citizen went, well, if I can just take whatever I want, why bother working? Anybody? Hello, class. Hang on. I'm sure everybody, look, there's Lake Roberts, everybody. I'm sure everybody knows what ideology is. You give everything to the government, and it'll give it back to you what they think you need. Does anybody know what that is? Starts with a C. Think about Russia. Again, one of those ideologies that seems to be around here that's causing so much trouble. Hey, there's a point of interest. So, that's my report as I drive up and down the switchbacks to get to the grocery store. This is all I can say. Really honest is all I can say. It's where I am, it's isolated, it's quiet, we don't have these problems. At some point in time I'm going to have to leave. I don't know where I'm going yet. Whoa. And what's going to happen next, who knows. I have been given a very generous offer by my good brother, who said, maybe your 5-year mission is over, why don't you come home? He's got property in Pennsylvania. I could manage that. Interesting. Maybe we could build a little compound like the one I'm living on. Never know. Or I could head somewhere else. I'm supposed to be seeing paperwork coming, I don't know when. Wow. To go back to the northeast corner of New Mexico, back to Lake Hopewell, where we saw so many videos. I haven't seen anything yet. So if I don't see something soon, I'm just going to say, I'll take the offer that's on my table right now. And go. And go. And just be done with it. Okay? Maybe my brother's right. My 5-year mission may be over. I don't know if Kerry's going to get any better. Running around the country may not be the greatest thing to do. And maybe I'm finding all sorts of places with all the same people. And given all of these, again, these very, very poisonous ideologies that are running around and people that seem to hate you, maybe it is time to, draw the wagons together and shoot anybody coming over the hill. Certainly something that needs to be considered. But as we go up and down, go to this camping area, picnic area, wherever it is. It's the upper end of the national forest. Let's end it the right way, because this is a very long video. You're not going to get all the way to Silver City, guys. Please remember, let's see. Always take care of you, because nobody else will. Thank you, Mom. Are they like-minded? Do they share your values? And do they have something to offer? Or no, and out they have to go. Too late now. Okay? Especially given the ideology that seem to be creeping in and being given food, water, and shelter, which by my end is aid and comfort to the enemy, and that's treason. So, but that's me. That's just little old me. Okay, so now we're out of Nashville. Ladies, if you have to go anywhere, especially since there are people that are holding these ideologies, and like we talked about before, eventually they were going to get violent, and they sure have. Don't go anywhere alone. As a matter of fact, you can avoid going anywhere, avoid it. Okay? If you have to go out, go with a group. Mind your kids. Keep your heads out of your damn phone. Gentlemen, exact same thing. Matter of fact, gentlemen, if you can go with the ladies, you're going to be better. And ladies and gentlemen, as a group, if you can go out as a group, safety is in numbers. Okay? I would try to avoid anything like big parties and gatherings. I didn't say don't live your lives. What I'm saying is that the people that seem to hate us seem to love when you get together in a pile. Alright? So consider that. Please, 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 please. Everybody, take some form of protection with you. What that means to you is what that means to you. It's called personal protection for a reason. And the most important thing of all, do not let the will to act be the highest hurdle to stopping you from doing the right thing against the wrong people. Okay? Other than that, like I said, you are seeing some pretty big stuff. You've been up and down a couple of hills. Getting back is going to be a lot of fun. We're going to do it anyway. You know, I think what we're going to do is we're going to have to plan these trips very infrequently, or see if we can glom onto the boss's car and say, hey, if you're going to town, can you grab a couple of things for me? She will. Okay. So, again, from inside and outside Gila National Forest, here in southwestern New Mexico, a little too close to the border for my taste, but hey, what am I going to do? This is Carl, the old hermit, and Bodie, and we're going to hope that you have a great